Oh, we didn't talk about this. Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3DS Talk Aquariums. Hope everyone's been good. And thanks for listening. I'm not going to do the usual like and subscribe and send us emails at 3idiotstalkaquariumspodcast@gmail.com, but I did. This morning we have something different and fun and exciting for everyone. So I'll let Cam talk about that a little bit. Otherwise, I'm doing all the talking. Otherwise, I'm doing all the talking.
All right, okay. We have ourselves a potential change. Cam's quite busy with his new job and everything like that, so to continue the 3 idiots to be 3 idiots, we have needed a third idiot, so we have called upon a third idiot to come on and have a wee chat with us. So, yeah. You've kind of thrown me in the deep end there. I don't really know what to say, so we'll just bring him up. This will be your job.
So Cam, young Cam is because he's doing his training for his new job. He is very stressed and very busy, and also his schedule is very sporadic. So sometimes he's not available on Wednesday mornings, and sometimes he is. He is going to pop in and out sometimes, occasionally, and say hi and do what he can, but at the moment he needs at least a couple of sort of months off, and we decided not to kill the podcast. Well, maybe we will end up killing it if this new host is terrible, or like not terrible enough to be an idiot and be entertaining, but too boring or something. But we'll see how we go, basically. And Cam's mum also said that he wasn't allowed to do it while he was stressed with his work, so we've got to listen to his mum, otherwise we'll get a little angry Asian woman with like a walking stick chasing us down the road or something. So we don't want that. Not fun. And I live closer than you. She's not going to come down to Nelson and do it.
Yeah, I feel fairly safe, to be fair.
Yeah. All right, anyway, well, should we bring Matt on and tear the shit out of him so everyone can get to know him? I mean, ask him some questions, so see how he can respond.
We're not good.
Good morning.
Hello. Do you want to say anything?
Oh, just that was a lovely introduction, and there's no pressure on me at all to not start this up.
It's baptism by fire, and you got asked like 2 days ago, so there you go.
Yeah. I was originally asked with less than 12 hours notice, and now we're here, so it's great.
Cool.
What do they say? Preparation is the key to everything.
Yeah. What can
prior
go
preparation,
It'll be fun.
Prior preparation prevents piss poor performance, they say, the 5 Ps. And we got none of that, so there we go. So anyway, Matt, what I guess where do you live? You live in Manawatu, Palmerston North, right?
Yep, mighty Manawatu, from the lovely Bold. So yeah, been Manawatu based pretty much forever. Had a short stint outside of that, but came back, and yeah, been floating around here, causing as much as I can.
And loving the shittest town in New Zealand, as voted by many people that have visited Palmerston North.
I think that's only because they haven't been to Nelson.
Fuck you.
They haven't heard of Nelson yet. So once we get them down there, then we'll relinquish that title.
They were there. They were in New Zealand, and then they were like looking out, and then they saw this massive hole over on the horizon, like a massive hole, and they were like, "What's over there?" They were like, "Oh, that's Nelson. You don't want to go there." So they just didn't go.
To be fair, the less people that come to the South Island, the better. We don't want you guys ruining the place.
You don't want to increase the gene pool, eh?
Well, the record I'm born in Wellington, the gene pool is fine.
All right, cool. So, and also for those that don't know, Matt is actually a very helpful person to know if you keep fish, because what do you do, Matt?
Well, I work in the plumbing industry, so I run a couple of plumbing and bathroom branches. So have all of the hookups there, filtration, bits and pieces like that. So yeah.
And I've already used them a couple of times and been astounded by what trade versus retail is on plumbing price, I tell you. So
So I've been doing this for a couple of years now, and even now there's some things I'll bring it up and then I'll go onto the trade side and I'm just like, wow, cool, sweet.
Okay, and your fish keeping journey, how long have you been keeping fish?
So I've been keeping fish probably the last 13, 14 years. Started off like most people with the community tank, and then it sort of grew from 1 tank, 2 tanks, all the way. I think at one point I had 30 odd going, and moved into breeding. Bred most sort of things, and now my focus is more around Africans.
God.
Yeah, knew that was coming. And but then other little bits and pieces. I like to play around with new stuff that's coming in, and yeah, just test.
You sent me a photo of a Bettis the other day, going, "Man, I want to keep these things, eh?"
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So it's they are quite cool Bettis. I do like them, and I've been tempted by them too because they're quite colourful, little but tiny little buggers, eh? You know.
Yeah.
I know someone that's holding a bag of them. If you're interested, just saying is all.
They're only importing males, eh? Though, is that right?
They all look to be males here.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah. And are they? I've seen. Look, I know nothing about them. I've only seen them. I thought they're cool, but I've seen blue ones and red ones. Are they different species?
Yeah, red ones are Dario. Blue ones are Bettis. I only know this because I spoke to someone who knows way more about them than what I do. It's the first time I've kept them myself, and I was putting them up on the website, and I thought, "What? Wait a minute! I've already got this listing." And then there was a different fish, so took a bit of working through. But yeah, the red ones are the Dario. The blue ones are the Bettis. So different fish.
So the blue ones are actually the Bettis, and the red ones are Dario. So they're not the same.
My understanding. And the red ones apparently are more aggressive than the blue ones, from my understanding.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense because you look at humans and people with ginger hair are usually more aggressive than people without ginger hair. So it makes sense.
So, do you just keep African cichlids, nothing else?
No, I mean I've got a bunch of different things at the moment. Some live bearers are floating around. A couple of plecos. Yeah, I'm a lot more condensed at the moment than what I was. So I've even got fish tanks at work at the moment, just while I'm in between places.
Sure, just temporarily.
Yeah.
I'm sure you pay the power at work too, eh? So it's all good.
I mean, I definitely pay the bill. Whose account it comes from? Well, that's neither here or there.
Yeah. There's 300 fish tank room in the storeroom. Yeah.
No, I've got them out on the shop floor actually, and it's quite interesting watching the customers come in and like they'll sit down at the lunch table next to them and just watch away. So there's actually been a fair bit of education there, and then even around the filtration side of things and what we're doing with the stuff there.
Cool.
I'm glad
you're just not a sole African cichlid keeper, because that makes me feel a little bit better, and I could kind of balance it out a little bit more.
You were messaging me the other day asking if I knew anyone who had female some sort of pleco, blue phantoms, was it, or something?
Yeah, L201s, green phantoms.
Green phantoms. Oh yeah. So that's cool. I mean, not into that, but you seem to be into that sort of thing. Whatever.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to play hide and seek with fish.
Yeah, I played with the fish the other day that had jumped out and found it on the floor, but anyway. Okay, cool. So, I have other questions. Now, this question is a yes or no answer, and it's to both of you. Okay. All right.
I don't like the setup already.
Has your fish keeping ever turned someone of the opposite sex to be a lesbian? Yes or no?
No.
Cam, you answer as well?
I don't think so.
And Matt just lied.
Well, we can't say for sure whether it was the fish keeping or whether it was just natural selection. So, without the proper evidence, I don't think we should be drawing conclusions on that. I don't want to put other people off of keeping fish for fear that they'll turn someone lesbian.
Yes, awesome. Okay, and the next, what? She's going.
Oh, come on, Ryan, sort it out.
Sorry, I just got told one of our kids got a job, so that's pretty cool. But anyway, so the next question is, now you can elaborate on this one because this might give someone a little bit of a background in Matt, but maybe in Cam too. Have you ever had a loaded shotgun pointed at your head and had the trigger pulled and survived?
Yes.
So Cam, have you?
I don't believe so. Maybe like a shotgun shot drink has been pointed my way and I've survived, but not a proper gun, no.
So what's the background in
that?
What's the background in that, Matt? And tell us about that, because people will be interested in that, I think, because it's quite a cool story.
So prior to working in plumbing, I was a police officer. And yeah, so one of the jobs that I had was a domestic violence call out. And when I went to arrest the guy, he decided that he did not want to come along with me, and that violence was the best option, and drew a shotty on me, and I was very, very lucky, and it misfired. So yeah.
So
Holy
there you go. Can you imagine that? I don't think many people have experienced that in their lives, and I can only imagine how that sort of felt.
Oh, it was definitely cool. I'm going to leave now. I'm getting the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did it make you feel quite thankful for your fish?
Yeah, very thankful. Yeah.
Wow. That's wow.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
So there's a bit of background on Matt. I'm sure we'll get to know Matt a little bit better as it goes on. But I thought that was a cool story that we could share that I knew about Matt. I do know a few other things, but we'll keep them under wraps for later. I've got to have some ammunition.
I'm actually surprised that one of the other topics didn't come out. I was waiting for that, and yes, I'm surprised that wasn't one of the first ones.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So the next thing we go on to is, I can't remember the order, but there's no mail, and I haven't generated any mail.
We go around the room and see what's been happening in our fish room.
Okay. Cool. What's been happening in everyone's fish rooms this week? Cam?
And we normally have an awkward silence every time too.
Yeah, so everyone rushes to talk about it.
Yeah, I've spawned a few things. Bosmani rainbows, blue lacustrus, a few different.
So you said blue what?
Lacustrus.
What's that?
The blue rainbow fish.
That's not neon blue.
No, the bigger one.
That's the bigger sort of triangular shaped one.
Yeah.
They're cool, eh? I do like rainbow
cool.
fish. I think rainbow fish are cool, to be honest. I do really like them.
I had a failed attempt at flamme tetras, and I think a successful attempt at glow light tetras. So a little bit of stuff going on. Your flame tetras haven't
done anything yet. Have you managed to see anything from them?
I've had one fry out of like 6 attempts now. I get eggs every time, but they get the mold like almost as soon as they hit the water. So my new plan is to try and spawn them, put them down like on a Monday and then really contently watch them on a Tuesday, for example. And as soon as they've spawned, pull the parents out and deal with the eggs to see if I...
Have you got like real low pH and stuff like that?
I'm bringing it down. I got it into the high 5s this time around.
Ooh, that was pretty low, yeah.
So, yeah, from someone I was talking to who has spawned them, he said spawning them is fine, spawning them in a higher pH and in the 6 is okay, but the eggs don't hatch until you get them into the 5s. So I just need to, I think, push a little bit deeper and time it a little bit quicker. So we'll see how we go.
What about, and obviously you're bunging the meth blue in there straight away and stuff, are you? Yeah. And you tried darkening the tank out?
It's already relatively dark. It's not super dark. They're not apparently light sensitive, so I haven't worried too much about that. But 3 of the sides are blocked off, and there's tannins in there from catapa juice and that kind of stuff. So it's a timing thing and a pH thing, I believe. Still,
yeah, cool.
I'm considering dropping the entire barrel of RODI water to a low pH, just to put some phosphoric acid in the whole barrel, so it's really well aged when I do the water changes.
And I assume your GH and stuff's real low too.
Yeah, it was all about 3 drops, whatever that reads to. So yeah,
I must admit, I'm just googling what a flame tetra looks like because I wasn't 100% sure. So you know,
why does it not surprise me?
It's one of those ones, one of those shaped ones, like a black widow shaped one.
Yeah, they're actually quite cool when they're young, and when the females get full of eggs, they're quite ugly.
Yeah.
But it's got to a point where I'm ridiculously determined to get this done now because I'm sick of them giving me eggs and they're not doing anything.
Do they get big?
Not really, no.
Oh, yeah. Because they're kind of that shape, like of some of the ones that get a bit more solid than the neons and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
No, not really. No, not really.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good. And I see you've been doing some DIY too, some high quality silicon jobs on your
DIY
page.
daddy in the building. Yep. So
yeah, I'm loving
I think
that.
I've now put an entire tube of silicon into a 2-foot tank. So we're doing pretty well.
Yeah, I've
and
done that too, and they still leak. They still leak every time when you do that.
Well, I haven't water tested it yet, but who would have thought that fully sealing a crack would not be the leak in an aquarium? Like there is a crack in the corner on the base. You can feel the crack, but that's not where the water is coming from.
Magic. I love it.
Who would have thought that? So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, what about you, Matt? You had anything exciting going on?
I have had everything decide to breed all at once on me in the last week. So yeah, got Tropheus, Lupi, Riccardi, my Julies, Bristlenoses, everything all at once, which is just excellent. Other than that, I've just been moving stuff around. So I'm setting up a display fish tank at a local fish store this weekend. So just been moving bigger fish around, getting them all into one place so that it's easy to move on the weekend.
Cool.
So
you're sorry.
You're setting up a tank for the shop?
Yeah, so they've got a current African display that's sort of dropped in time. So we're going to clear everything out of there.
So some of the fish in that, I grew up in the Manawatu, and I used to go into it's a wet pet shop. I used to go into that shop and buy my fish when I was younger. And I reckon
Hold on. You grew up in the Manawatu, which has been voted the shittest place in New Zealand.
I didn't.
And now you live in Helensville, voted the most second shittest place in Nelson.
And Nelson, yep.
Damn it! It all works out.
You got shit in your mind, and you got Nelson in your mind. I understand that you can't get past it. But but when I went in there, they had the fish, and I reckon the fish that are still in there are still like descended from the fish that were there 25 years ago when I started. You know, and they're starting to get the genetics are starting to get a bit stuffed on them, and then they need some new blood and some new stuff in there. So.
Yeah, so it'll be quite cool to give it a new lease of life and turn it into something not bright and colourful. And I believe some of the stuff that's in the display they'll be putting into their sale tanks, graded out stuff that can go in there, and there'll be some cheap deals for people if they're looking for anything.
Is there only one wet pets in New Zealand?
Yeah, it's just local.
Yeah. So anyone says wet pets, it's that one.
Oh, I used to love going in there. When he had a red-tailed catfish in there at one stage. And he'd
that's going back a long time.
Frogs and stuff, and yeah, that was cool. It was real cool.
Yeah.
I mean, once they had an 8 by 6 foot by 3 foot tank in the center of the shop.
Wow.
And it was so big they couldn't find anyone to buy it, so they gave it away. And one, we all know them, they're just the mad, crazy fish keeping guy that is just loose as and just crazy, got got his mates and got a pallet jack and somehow managed to get it out the door without breaking it and get it onto a trailer and get it into his garage. And that's the last I ever saw of it. But yeah, it was massive. It was like 15 mil glass. It would have cost like 20 or 30 grand or something like that. You know,
was that one that they built themselves?
I don't know where it came from, but it was just always there in the middle. Cool tank, but yeah, and one of those ones that you just look at and go, man, I would love to take this, but I just don't even know where I'd start.
That's ginormous.
Yeah,
I'm assuming 6 foot wide.
Yeah. It was 8 by 6 foot.
That is huge.
And it was either 2 or 3 foot tall, but it was taller than like an average sort of big tank.
Wow.
This sort of thing tall, you know, like it was ginormous.
Wonder what the safety factor was on the glass like that.
Don't know. It was thick.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy.
But yeah,
huge.
It was cool. It was cool. It was a cool place. And I went in there. Eric, the owner, used to look after me when I was a young fella. Go in there and give me fish and hook me up all the time. He was a nice guy to me. And one time I went in and he had Niggeragulin spawn, you know, and he gives me this net full of the bloody things, like 50 of them. Says, right, you can have these, but the only condition is I don't want them back. and I just ended up with tanks and tanks and tanks of these bloody things. Actually,
and now we can't find them.
Yeah, and when I joined the Air Force, actually, I still had maybe 8 of them, and they went to my mum's house. And she looked after them for about 2 or 3 years after I joined the Air Force before they finally passed away. So, yeah, they kept going. Bloody
They're a cool fish.
So they were actually quite a cool fish, yeah.
They're a real cool fish.
And, of course, in true, like, not knowing what I was doing, fish keeping style, they were kept in 3 foot tanks, and they did not have the best environment, but they still got big and still did okay.
What about you, Ryan? What have you been up to?
I had lots go on this week for fish, actually. I bought. Oh, I have to be very careful about what I say here. Okay. So I went into. I did go into a shop in Auckland, and
which shop did you go into?
Just one of the shops, you know, like one of the shops.
I haven't actually a chain shop or an independently owned one.
I don't know. I believe they're independently owned, maybe.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But anyway, I went into a store.
Big independently owned one, or just a small one?
The store doesn't matter. Okay.
Okay. All right.
You know,
okay.
Yeah. You know, just imagine we're in the Hollywood Hills, you know, and there's stuff everywhere. Okay. So, but anyway, I went into a store, and I haven't bought any fish from the store for a long time because I don't like supporting them. But they did have a really nice albino Frieri male. And a friend of mine bred albino Frieri quite a long time ago, and I had a female left, just a female, and they had a really nice male, and it was the price was right and stuff. So I asked, and man, it was like one of the worst customer experiences of my life. You know, I asked some guy, "Hey, can I get a fish, please?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll get someone else." And someone else came along and was like, "Yeah, what do you want?" And I was like, "Oh, that one." And he's like, "Oh yeah, is that it?" I was like, "Yeah." And then gets 2 tiny nets, like the smallest nets you can imagine, and chases this fish around the tank like a bloody ninja as fast as he could, rather than just getting like a big net and just catching it. And I was just like, okay, anyway. So he finally eventually got it, squashed it against the glass a few times, but it was okay. And then I didn't get asked any questions about the fish. Like, it was an African cichlid, Frieri, so it's probably going to get to 15 centimeters long, going to be able to eat most things, you know, could mess up a tank if you put it in the wrong tank. Didn't get asked any questions about that, just said, all right, here you go, cool, whatever, you know, go with the fish. So I took the fish home and acclimatized it and stuff, and man, it was cool, and I was loving it. Fed it some good food, started coloring up real nice in a couple of days, and then but they didn't tell me that it jumped out. They jumped out. So, and I forgot to put the lid on the tank, and it jumped out and died. And so I'm really annoyed with that store for not telling me. It's their fault, and I'm going to go in there and complain and ask for a refund.
bring your seat with you and put it in a bag of water. But here,
so this fish died.
This is yours. I'd like to return it.
100% my fault. 100% my fault for it jumping out. But but I was a little bit disappointed that I wasn't even asked if I knew anything about African cichlids when I was buying it.
We've discussed this during the private chat. It's because you are so world famous of a podcaster. Everyone knows how intense you are with the Africans. They didn't need to ask you questions. They're like, "Hey, it's that bald dude that does the podcast. He knows everything about African cichlids. We don't need to ask him any questions. We don't even need to ask him if he's going to put lids back on his tank. We know that he is just so good at keeping African cichlids that he will."
Yeah. So, yeah, I was very disappointed because this was a very cool fish and I was really enjoying it. And I haven't bought any fish for a while, so I was a bit sad. And then I was also...
It was a white knight or an albino?
It was albino friary, yeah. He's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
I liked him. But, yeah, I'll have to keep an eye out for another one. They are around, so it's not like I can't find another one, but I was disappointed because I really liked that one. I also got 17 kgs of rapashi, which is a lot of rapashi. So that was pretty cool. Yeah, I didn't realize how much it was going to be. Also, when I ordered it, I didn't realize that it was going to come in little tiny containers because it was all his older stock that he had, that was expiring in that. So I've got it cheap. But
did you just ask him to give you like 5 kilos of this and 5 kilos of that sort of thing, or did you specifically ask for XXX?
I just said I need something green, and I need something that carnivores can eat. And obviously, because of the amount I'm buying, I need it to be reasonably priced. So let me know if you've got any older stuff or whatever that you need to get rid of that's not selling, or you can't sell to the shops because it's dated. And then I got what I got. Most of it's very similar, and I ended up with the.
Don't get upset.
Yeah, I ended up with the Amazonian insectivore one, which the fish seem to enjoy, the carnivores seem to like. So it's all good.
Honest to God, that is by far the best formula that they have. It is great. It's got a phenomenal balance. It smells fruity, eh? And it's purple.
Yeah, it was weird. Yeah.
I've
only what's that?
I was just saying, I've been using the wrong one for sure because I stink the house out whenever I make this stuff, and it's horrible.
I've used the grub fry that stinks like crap. And the green one's not very good either. I think, what did one of the kids come out and say? Why does it smell like rabbit food in here when she came out? I was like, that makes sense. I can see this, but yeah. I got
Garpo is by far the best formula.
Yeah, so that's what I'm feeding all my carnivores on. My haps and peacocks, and some of the Mumbuna will get it too because a lot of them are omnivores. And then I've got Solient Green, Super Green, and Spawn and Grow. So I'm just mixing the Solient and the Super Green together to make an awesome green mix for the trophies.
Is that your bloaters?
Yeah, I feed that to mostly the Mumbuna, the Trophius, that sort of stuff. The Trophius should probably be on the vegan one, the Super Green, but they seem to be going okay on the Solient Green, and I wanted to give them a little bit of protein just to try and get them breeding, but they don't do stuff all for me. They just breed for people like Matt, so
Braxton sent me a video of his small Trophius the other day.
Yeah.
Almost got me over the line to consider thinking about setting up a tank for them.
Oh, they are so cool. They look they're on steroids. They're zipping around everywhere like mad things.
You should almost just do it out of spite because Ryan, for some reason, can't get his to breed.
I can't get them to bloody.
I've got mine breeding. Yeah. So if you get yours and have them breeding and Ryan's the only one that can't, then...
Well, people that buy them off me get them breeding faster than I can breed them. It's I think my pH is too low. To be honest. I'm still in the 7s, and Trophius really need to be in the 8 and 9s, I think. And I think it's probably what's causing it.
Have you tried the cichlid lake from Seachem? Because we know that you're a massive fan of Seachem products.
I've got some down here, actually. Where's that? Yeah, I've got a container of it somewhere. But
question is, do you actually use it, or do you just have it?
I tried to stuff with the water in the tank inside here, and I did it too fast and bloated a bunch of them. So now I'm like, nah, bugger that. again, I probably shouldn't have done it too fast. I was also finding it really hard with the water change. Like you take out so much water and you got to add so much more and stuff, and it was just a little bit complicated. But the fish room's hard because it's on an automatic water change system. So if I chuck, I'd have to chuck the same amount in every day. But Matt and I were talking about putting maybe a Venturi type system in. So as the water goes through, it sucks something out of a container. So I can make up a buffer in a container and have it suck through and sort the water out.
You could also, because it won't be all of the tanks you've got them in, eh?
But I was thinking it might benefit all the fish if I could bump it up a bit anyway, because they're all
like an automatic doser into the tanks that have got it and stuff like that works well, like they do with planted tanks.
Yeah, the only I just like to keep things very simple in there. So I'm thinking the first thing might be I just go and buy another 20 kilos of limestone and just bung heaps more limestone in the tanks and see what that does, and just measure it and then chuck some more in and see. But I think with the constant flow of too much fresh water, it's going to dilute anything that anything dissolving in the tank could actually do. It just hasn't sit for long enough, I don't think, is my personal opinion. Maybe if I put it in the filter, it might have more effect because it's got more flow over it, but don't know. So that's my theory on that. What else?
You go straight. Go straight from the hose in it. It's not like it's pre-treated or in barrels and then goes into it. Yeah.
I just don't. Too much water unless I put like 1,000-litre drum in or something.
You've got a big swimming pool there. Why don't you use that? Like nobody else uses it.
Yeah. Well, we don't talk about that fucking swimming pool. Anyway, fuck, I hate that pool. Get rid of it, but I'm not allowed to. So anyway. Whatever. Well, apparently the kids are going to use it this year more than 5 times after I spent so much time getting it clean. Bloody hell.
Bung some fish in there and say it's for algae control, then they won't get into it. Then all of a sudden you've got a big giant pond.
I even took my shirt off and got the net and was like, yeah, I'm a pool guy. Yeah. It didn't even work.
That's why they didn't want to get in the pool.
What I mean?
I think we found the real issue is you took your top off.
Are you saying that the resident lady of the house didn't come over and try and seduce you with a cold glass of lemonade?
No, she didn't even. I was imagining like the Stacey's mum video clip, and I was imagining that, and it didn't even, So yeah, it wasn't the pool. Yeah, we don't go there anyway. And something else happened. Young Cam bought out all his Julies and Brevis for me to look after, because he's closed the store down. He doesn't have a lot of space, so he was going to get rid of them, and I said, nah, just chuck them in my trophiest tank and take them back later. They're your favorite fish, so they're actually really cool. They're in my trophiest tank, but over there it's like a proper tank almost now. It's got like the Firefox and the Capilli comps and the Brevis and the Julie Dickfeldy, so it's looking pretty cool. So I'm enjoying it.
Look at you being all fish keeping.
Oh, I'm pretty bio type, it's just what I'm into.
I understand.
And I was actually surprised because there's some little Julies and some little Brevis in there, and the comp hasn't tried to eat them at all yet. Or maybe he's tried to eat them and can't. I don't know, but he's not happy. He's definitely not happy about them though, because they've taken one of his shells and he's just real angry. It's funny as he's sulking in the corner. So that maybe they're the Oscars of the African insect world. They just sulk.
Maybe. I also want some more Brevis, Helen. Brevis.
I've got some Brevis here for both of you. We've just got to ship them.
Are you going to send it on? Are you going to send it on a Thursday on a 2-day package on a long weekend, or are you going to do it logically on overnight on a Monday?
Yeah, I may send them overnight courier this time, mate.
You'll just look at the receipt the next day.
Maybe I send some today. What do you reckon? What's the worst that could happen?
Rude not to. I mean, hey, it's only a 3-day weekend.
Braxton actually is waiting for some Brevis from me for probably the last 6 months, and he asked me about them. I said to him, I'll send you some. He says, oh, you're sweet, I'll give you some money. He's already paid for them. I said, mate, I think you've already paid for them. Well, no, it just hasn't worked out. It hasn't worked out for both of us.
If I don't send a customer's order within 3 minutes of being placed, I get all hell break loose on me. Yet you're 6 months down the track and haven't done anything.
Yeah, Helen has been chasing me for some too. But then when I messaged her, she said she put some dumb fish in their tank instead. So I was like, oh, whatever, Helen, whatever. But
What are we classing as dumb fish, though?
Rainbow fish. That he's equally said this
she
podcast that he
did
liked.
tell me. She did tell me. She'll probably comment and tell me before I can find it. But it was yeah, some sort of fish that she put in there. She bred. What is it? Butterfly cichlids.
Oh, they're cool.
Oh, yeah.
They're not dumb. They're cool.
What's the butterfly cichlid?
It's like a way cooler version of a German ram.
It's a
probably closer to a blue acara, but cooler.
It's not a Bolivian ram? No. What is a butterfly? It just coming up with blue rams for me. Oh no. African butterfly cichlid. The fish room.
Hey, that's me.
Stock. This guy's out of stock and he's got them listed on his website. What the hell?
And he's #1 on Google. How does that work?
African butterfly Tamanse cichlid. I don't even think I've ever seen them before in real life. It's especially not as good as the photos that I'm seeing online here.
It's because you're a loser.
Possible. I'll accept that. Oh, look at that. Helen's got 80 plus babies to move on. So you're out of stock. Helen's got 80 plus. Maybe you need to do a deal with Helen.
I've told her that I know a guy.
There you go. I also checked on my tank that I did for the real estate shop the other day. Interestingly enough, I did it with Mambuna, which is cool. It looks really good. But I left a whole bunch of ambulia in there because, you know, I'm a plant guy and stuff, thinking the fish would eat it. And they're not eating it. And it's growing.
Is it ambulia or kabomba?
Oh, I don't know. What's the difference?
Because if that tank's not been touched for a while, it could well be kabomba.
Is that illegal?
Yeah.
Darker
leaf, more of a black tinge to the leaf, and a slightly different green.
It's quite green. Okay. It's quite green. Anyway, it's going to be ambulia if kabomba is illegal because it's in there and it's never going to come out. But I was just surprised because the Mambuna are supposed to eat it. I left it in there, told them say goodbye to the plants. The fish are going to eat them, and they didn't. They ate the duckweed. They ate all the duckweed off the top of the tank. Duckweed was like choked in duckweed. They ate all that, but they did not eat the ambulia. So, yeah, very weird. I wouldn't have thought that. So, there you go. Maybe these guys are freaks, or maybe we can do planted Mambuna tanks with ambulia. We'll see.
That needs to be the next trial that gets done. What plants can we put in without them being eaten?
Destroyed, ripped up, ruined, and all.
Yeah, they're not even. I guess the ambulia that I left because it was stuck in the middle between all the rocks, so it was harder to pull out. So maybe that's why they haven't dug it up, because it's embedded in the rocks. I don't know, but I'll go back and check on it today and see how they're going. Just keeping an eye on it because they're supposed to be doing their own water changes, and they've already missed the first one. So, yeah.
Classic.
We'll go in and see, keep an eye on them, make sure they're still doing their water changes. Because I wanted them to do, I said, we've got to do one every week. The mistake I made is it's okay to miss one every so often. But, so I think they're just going to miss one every often. Not every so often, just all the time.
It's basically what you said.
Yeah.
Just don't do water changes, and then your fish will look terrible, and then you can come hire me, and I'll gouge you for $700 a trip. That's exactly what you're meaning, though, wasn't it?
I don't want to do the water changes on it because I can't be bothered.
Don't you lie?
I can't. I don't want to do water changes on tanks. I don't like doing water changes on my own tanks. It's easy.
And when they bring out the green foldies and keep flicking them over, you'll go, "Oh, I can do this water change. That's okay."
Yeah. Well, I did pitch in a ridiculously high price for them, so they didn't.
No, he doesn't go for greens. They've got to be.
But he's gone.
He's gone.
Am I back?
No,
kind of. Yep. You cut out.
Internet does a great thing right before 8 when everyone starts logging in. It cuts us off.
No, it's loading, buffering. Oh, I think that's good catch up for the week. We've managed to use 40 minutes of our time, and now we can talk about the episode. Although one of my things was on topic for shell dwellers because there's brevis in there.
It's a nice segue.
So anyway, we are to talk about shell dwellers. Now, firstly, we've already had a bit of a discussion, me and Cam, about what a shell dweller is. Like, is an Alto lamprolagus a shell dweller? Like, they live in a shell. Probably not technically a shell dweller, not a small one, but they do breed in shells.
Before, yeah, we've got the random question. But before we get into the actual topic, just to appease Braxton, shell dwellers live in shells, and Ryan's bald. There we go, Braxton. We did exactly what you asked us to do. We said
I'm just pulling up the generator. Okay, I've got the random question.
I'm a generator. Yep.
What talent would you show off in a talent show? And I already know what Matt's is going to be. You fucking stripper. Anyway, you go first, Cam.
I would show off my ability to juggle.
Can you juggle?
I can juggle.
Like in one hand?
How many balls?
Properly juggle.
Oh, he likes balls. Right, how many?
Yeah.
When I was younger, I managed to be able to juggle 4 balls with 2 hands. But because I don't juggle very often anymore, I can only do 3 balls in 2 hands. I was beginning to play around with knives as well. That was kind of fun.
What went wrong?
I was quite young and thought I was going to hurt myself every time I threw them in the air.
Self-preservation. Yeah, it's a good skill to have. It's a good thing to have. Some people don't.
Got me through life so far pretty well.
I don't actually. Okay, what do you reckon, Matt? What are you going to show off?
I would actually show off some of my martial arts, which is exactly what you thought I would say.
No, I did not. We're going to get into that. We'll get into that in another episode anyway. That's some good ammo. We'll go there later.
Yeah. But
martial arts. So you're going to be like,
yeah. I'll just do some real Karate Kid stuff, and it's definitely my only hobby.
Like a proper wax on, wax off, or are you going to paint the car?
You've got to Mr. Miyagi. Yeah, if you're not waxing off and you're only waxing on, not going to go well.
Not doing it right.
Yeah.
And would you show us your ability to grow hair back again, Ryan?
I'm working on it. Other one. No, I've got nothing. I, apart from standing up and making everyone laugh at me, I got nothing. I'd probably do some just terrible failure at trying to sing, but make it so bad like that it was amusing. Would be my thing. Entertaining, amusing.
That seems pretty lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a kung fu kid like Matt, and I'm not a juggler like you. You're not a clown. Well, I'm a clown, but I'm just not. Don't got those skills.
What about your fantastic ability to turn a classic Holden into a rust bucket?
That's not really a talent show thing. How do you do that on the stage?
I don't know.
Just get out there with your
for a 10-year show.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, is that random question generator for the win? Because I was wondering what I was going to do until I found that. It was fun. Ryan could talk rough like cichlids till everyone falls asleep. I like that.
No, that's a talent. All right, shall we?
Also, I had a very good win this week, and I love doing this. I managed to trade fish for getting my garage wired up.
That's not bad. Take that
so
as a win.
Far, I've managed to trade fish for getting my dishwasher fixed. I've managed to trade fish for now. I'm getting my garage wired up. He dropped off the wire yesterday, and he's actually an electrician. So it's not like I'm just found some random guy on the road and said, "Hey, bro, do you want a bag of fish?" And came to wire up my garage. I was actually going to get properly signed off and stuff. But I just love the little barter, the deals, getting shit done for fish. So
Have you successfully traded fish for cash money?
What would you do that for?
Braxton, remember, six months ago.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
no,
but
I didn't trade the fish.
Not a successful trade because he hasn't seen the back yet.
I just scammed him. Yeah, I just scammed him. I'm just going to block him. Disappear. Yeah, cool. So that was another win for me this week. I love it.
Nice.
Because my garage has been running off an extension cord for the last 7 years. So
why change it now?
When I need to run something else, I need to run another extension cord because if I run everything off one, it overloads everything and blows all the CPs. So yeah.
Just do the classic extension cord into power box, extension into another power box. It'll be fun.
Well, the current extension cord's wired onto the heat pump.
Are you saying that that's dangerous?
Well, it's not really dangerous because it is protected, but it's just dodgy.
Oh no, I mean extension cord to box, extension cord to box. Is that not like above board? Is that not legitimate?
Depends who you ask. Some would say it's frowned upon. Others say choose your own adventure.
All right, cool. Well, I'm choosing lots of power boxes for extension.
You're talking to the guy here who's put like a row of fish tanks, and then a row of power points directly underneath them where they're gonna get wet, and he's gonna have wet arms and stuff. Like, he loves danger. He lives in danger.
I didn't put them there. What are the odds of me putting my hand in the tank and a plug at the same time? It's not gonna get me.
What's the odds of dropping water out of a fish tank when you're directly above a power point? I don't know.
Well, it's only switched off like 3 times in 4 years, so it's not bad.
So what we've just found is that he actually hasn't been doing any juggling. It's just that when he's working in his fish tanks, he's getting shocks, and that's sending his arms up each time.
He's doing the funky chicken.
Oh dear.
We used to call it the 50 hertz shuffle, that one. But anyway, okay, cool. Well, we've done that section. Now you were going to say something about Shelley's. What were you going to say, Cam?
Well, I was just going to say, are we going to talk about them or not worry about it?
Oh, we can talk about
We're
them.
deciding if altos were Shelley's or not.
Yeah. I kind of put them in that they're not Shelley's like you think of flat Shelley's, but they live and dwell in and around shells because they spawn in shells, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
So that would then
live.
that would in turn make them a Shelley if they're using a shell as a part of their natural habitat and their natural day-to-day life.
I just wonder if some fancy scientist has defined what a Shelley is, or if a Shelley even is a thing, or if it's just something that we've made up.
It's definitely made up.
Have you guys seen the documentaries where like there's just real cool Shelleys like chilling in the shallows and stuff, and then a bird comes along and just eats one? Like, have you seen those ones?
No.
And then they're like on the outside of the water. Oh fuck! There's a stranger in the chat.
There's a Cameron.
Yo, Cam, you should have just logged in. You've got the link.
That seems overrated.
Yeah, he didn't actually say much. But anyway, so yeah, the Shelleys obviously live in the shells. You have to talk about Helen wants us to talk about the only African cichlid riff lake fish that we're actually interested in. Okay, cool.
So how many different varieties of Shelleys do we have in New Zealand? If we're talking what everyone would consider a Shelley, which isn't alto lamps, because people don't seem to consider them Shelleys.
Mm.
How many do we have here?
So easily available, we have Brevis, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And then not so available, but reasonably available, we have the Osceolatus, Lamprolagus Osceolatus. They're really cool too. They're your gold Shelleys and all that sort of stuff. So they're the two that are most available. In the past, we have what the heck? Okay. Anyway, in the past, I have also kept the Simbu shell Otolamprolagus, which I unfortunately killed, the wild caught ones that I had, and I have also kept Kangwesis Shelleys as well, again, which I killed because they were wild caught and they were very sensitive.
Just because you don't keep your water at the right pH for them.
Well, that was because I was I shouldn't have got them. I wasn't in the right stage to be keeping them.
He didn't put the lid on the tank.
Yeah, no, they didn't jump out. They just died because I was living in a 2-bedroom house with 6 people, and I was just cramming tanks and getting cool fish because they came up. I didn't actually have the space all the time to be putting into them, but they were cool when they came in, and I had never seen them before, so I had to get them.
So you sound like 95% of other fish keepers?
Yeah. I should just never have kept them, but I did try. And Maltese are around as well still. They've been around the country for a while, and they're still around, and hopefully I'm going to get some of them soon if it works out. They're very similar to a Brevis in terms of appearance, but a little bit cooler, I reckon.
So three definitely about easy enough-ish to get, and then a couple of hidey ones. Is that about right?
Two easy to get, I'd say.
Too easy to get, a couple of hideys.
Yeah. But I mean, Brevis, I personally love. I think Brevis are an amazing fish. Like you know, they literally, if you had one little tank, like a 15, 20 litre tank, you can put a pair of Brevis in there or even a single Brevis in there, and it's amazing. They're so cool.
They're really fun to watch.
They are. They
really
hang out together. They're quite interactive. They come out and they eat and they spin around. They zip into the shells and they stick their heads out and stuff, and they breed and they don't fight, and they're just cool. They just got personality.
I'd really like to experience these fish, but I'm not sure how I can get my hands on them. I mean, it's not like I haven't wanted them for a little while.
You just need to make a down payment 6 months in advance, and then they'll.
Oh, is that right? Understood.
Yeah. Okay. And Cam said, aren't Simbus around at the moment? I haven't seen Simbu comps for a while. I'd like them to be around. I'd like to have another go with them because they are really cool. Those that don't know Simbu comps, they're like a very small alto that lives in shells. They're very cute. They're quite cool. They've got a lot of yellow on them, yellow and white and stuff.
So some might call them a shelly?
I think they're actually defined more as a shelly than an alto, than the traditional alto, like your Calvus and your comps. So yeah, but Brevis are probably my favourites, to be honest. I love them, and I'm looking forward to trying to get these Maltese.
What would we say if people are wanting to keep them as probably like the key things in setting up a tank?
Oh, look at you with a proper fish keeping question on your first time.
I wrote this down. No, I didn't. But they're such a cool fish, and I reckon they're so underrated. But because they've got that cichlid label, it can turn people away. You've pretty much already become Cam, because he used to use the underrated word a lot too. And you are Cam. You know, like amazing.
I think to start with, they need to have shells. Hence the name shellies. If you don't give them shells, they're probably going to be a little bit stressed out.
Yep, they do, and they love sand too because they dig shit. They dig their shells, they carry them around. Aussies especially. Aussies, if you want something that's going to do some cool digging and stuff, Aussies do. I mean, the reason they're called Aussies is because they oscillate when they dig in the sand. So they basically zip sideways and go like a little bloody, I don't know, vibrating tool or something, just go shooting through the sand and dig holes, you know.
I've never seen my shellies ever pick up a shell and move them. But I've definitely like come in one morning and go, hey, that didn't look like that when I left yesterday. Like things have changed in that period of time. Yeah,
they're so cool. But Brevis don't do that so much. They do move their shells around, but I have to keep mine on bare bottom tanks because especially the Aussies, because as soon as they bloody well breed, they
get out.
They like even from 1 centimeter, they bury themselves in the sand.
And
you can't freaking catch them. You can't catch them because they just disappear. And you're trying to sift the bloody sand out without killing the fish. Brevis don't do it so much, but man, Aussies are so bad at it.
Yeah,
like they're just gone into the sand, and you can't get them.
even when they wrap themselves around inside the shell as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Whenever I
Regularly,
went to
you'll
move
with the
any
shell.
out, yeah. If I ever went to move them out, I'd sort of a few days beforehand just start taking one shell out at a time that I knew that they weren't, and then just limiting the options, because otherwise you're just going through and you're checking every single shell.
More than once I've sold shellies with a shell. It's not coming out. You can have the shell with it. See you later.
I actually had shellies in a small tank in my Air Force office, and the tank actually sprung a leak, and one of the young fellas went in and dealt with it, and he caught all the fish, put them in a bucket, and took all the shells out and left them out and killed all the shellies pretty much because they were all in the shells and he didn't realise.
No way.
And then rang me up the day after. Oh, I sorted the tank out because you weren't here. Put all those shells in the bin. And I was just like, all the shellies would have been in the shells. But yeah. So yeah, definitely.
You don't know.
Once you got shells in there, you got Aussies and you got shellies in the shells, and they're in there forever, pretty much.
Damn.
Yeah, it's and Helen's just brought up a good point. They're definitely more outgoing with. She's put dwarf rainbows with them. I have actually it's obviously frowned upon, but you can keep other fish with them because obviously they're down the bottom and they're not crazy aggressive, so you can put other fish with them and enjoy them, and it does bring them out. It gives them a bit of confidence and brings them out, you know. So yeah, they're not going to kill anything.
They are incredibly defensive though, especially when they do breed. So, like I've seen them try
just
to take
their immediate area though. They'll attack you too if you put your hands in, which is a cool thing too. I love that, but they never do any damage.
What are they like, aggression, temperament wise? That sort of scenario, like in the rankings of them, which ones are the more aggressive, which ones aren't?
Brevas are probably the softest ones that we've got available. Aussies I found a little bit more aggressive, eh? That you couldn't put them in a smaller tank as you could with Brevas. They just seem to be so hard on each other. I don't think they form a pair as such. The Aussies, I think they're more one male goes and hangs out with multiple females and has like a harem type thing. So that's where, like, if a female isn't ready, he's pretty hard on them. They'll chase her back in her shell and stuff. So they need a little bit of space and stuff to go and hide. And when he's spawning with another female, they'll bash up on another female, you know, together. So they're quite territorial. But Aussies, Brevas don't seem to do that. They just seem to hang out.
I've got a bashed up female that wasn't ready to spawn, or maybe the other female knocked around who's missing a tail, and it's definitely not ever going to grow back because it's been well over a year now.
Yeah. I had them in the tank, and they actually one of the females actually went and hid in the overflow.
Wow.
Because she was that beaten.
Yeah.
So I had to obviously cover the overflow and then rearrange that whole tank, pull her out and sort it out. I had to wait for her to swim out of the overflow so she didn't go down the tank. But Cam's just said Brevis have a reputation internationally of being more aggressive than Similis or Maltese. Well, there you go. We'll find out when I get the Maltese. Still holding on for that. We'll see.
Just like we're all holding out for our fish. Hey, Braxton.
Braxton isn't even here. He didn't even show up. He said he was going to show up on his birthday, so he was excited for the photos of that. And he didn't even come.
Yeah, well, maybe he did. He just didn't come into the chat.
Wouldn't blame him for losing faith in you, though.
No.
What? Jason's asked a question. What is the minimum tank size and recommended stocking? Yeah, that's an interesting one. I have kept them and spawned them successfully and had no issues in ridiculously small tanks, like a 20 by 20 centimeter cube. I think I've got. No, what is it? Yes, 20 centimeters. 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters by 20 centimeter cube. So what's that? 8 liters, 10 liter tank, and a pair with a couple of shells.
Yeah, Brevis.
Yeah, and they're happy as they don't seem to care. And then I just put them in the next tank, and they do the same thing. They don't really care at all. But yeah, it's probably recommended to be bigger than that. I'd say if you wanted, if that's a long-term home for them, you'd want it to be a bit bigger. And also, if you wanted to house the fry that came through, that's the key thing. Because if you do put a pair in there, they are going to breed, and you're going to end up with more than two. You know, I don't know how one on its own would go. It'd probably develop a bit of a personality and come out, or would it hide?
Maybe it developed
Not sure.
personality and hide.
Yeah,
like a depressed personality.
Do both together.
But what I've found, if you leave them in a tank, like a reasonable size, even just a 2-foot tank's probably really good for a pair. They will breed and breed and breed, and then the population will just sort itself out. You know, like the bigger ones will eat the smaller ones and stuff, and it will just stabilize. And it will just do what it needs to do.
They'll just sort of settle themselves and find their own colony size.
Yeah, and they'll just become self-regulating and quite cool, you know. And if you did pop some out, catch some out, sell them, rehome them, then some more would breed up and take up their place, you know.
Yeah. What about the Aussies? What sort of size is that?
Yeah, I'd probably be saying 75 centimeters minimum for them, sort of thing. You probably could do them in a 2-foot. You probably could do them in a 2-foot, but it's you'd have to have a really compatible pair, and it could go pear shaped.
I've got mine in a 3-foot tank, and I think it's kind of on the cusp of okay, kind of on the cusp of not, if that makes sense. Like watching the dominant male, he's happy to go a long way in that tank to fight or scrap or defend his territory. But equally, it's enough to have a bit of leeway with the distance of it.
What I've found is breaking sight helps as well. So if you can have like some shells down here, and then like something tall and big to break the line of sight up,
like a
plant or a big rock or something, a very, very defined sort of territories does help with them. If you've just got a big flat tank with shells, then the Aussie male can try and take over the whole thing.
Yeah, roam the territory.
But and it doesn't give any other fish somewhere to hide. So you can have breaks in there, especially for the Aussies. The Brevis don't seem to care. They can have a big shell bed. There's 5 of them just hanging out in the shell bed. I'm watching over here in the Trophiest tank, just hanging out together, just not even caring. When some breeds, they'll probably get a little bit snarky, but they'll still tolerate each other hanging around, you know. So and that's what Cam said happened with his Julies too. When you put them in a tank, they just reached an equilibrium and bred, and he pulled some out and they bred again, and some more survived, and it just sort of, you know, continued like that.
Do their thing.
But yeah, Shelley's cool fish. Definitely, everyone should keep them. You've got if I had a bunch of conch shells in a pleco tank, would that make pleco shellies?
Yeah, it does make pleco shellies. Just be careful, because conch shells are a really awkward shape, and I've lost many a fish in them before I decided to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Electric yellows are prone to getting in there and not coming out.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of peacocks and stuff like that in conch shells too. Great for shellies and altos, but not so great for non-shellies and altos.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing.
They can't seem to get out of them. They go zipping into them, boom, and get stuck.
Yep.
Yeah, because they tighten up.
Yeah.
And yeah, the interesting thing that I've found with shellies is breeding them is not hard, but it is hard. In numbers. Like it's easy to breed 6 to 10 or 15 of them, but it's not easy to breed 50 or 60 of them. So I haven't actually found the solution for that. Especially the Aussies are very tricky. You know, so I've struggled with that with them. Like I've had Aussies for ages and I've bred them heaps, but I haven't managed to produce them in enough numbers to actually ever sell them or do anything with them. You know, so yeah, I've struggled with that. I've tried all sorts of stuff. You know, trying to get the bloody babies out of the shell by twirling it around in water and trying to make like a venturi to sort of suck them out, and squirting stuff in there and all sorts of things, and I just haven't had much success. So be interesting to try and find out what the method for that is. Brevis are fairly easy. I've managed to get them in numbers now. But
I wonder if you were to take the shell after the spawn and, put them in a breeder box, for example, so there's airflow going through it, let the female get out, take the female out and hatch them that way would be your way to do it.
Yeah, I did wonder whether the thing was to get the shell and the female out, or a lot of breeders overseas use false shells. They you make shells and stuff out of plumbing fittings, basically, with caps on them and stuff.
Yeah.
And very small plumbing fittings, like 90-degree angles with caps on them, so they can actually take them out, pull the cap off, and inspect them and stuff, and get the fish out, and then run air stones and all that sort of shit to artificially raise them. I think that's how a lot of them do it.
Yeah, the biggest thing I found with them when I had them breeding is they were just so skitterish that you'd walk into the fish room or you'd be mucking around out there and they'd just freak out and then everything's gone. So I actually ended up making a cover for the tank. So once I realised that they were breeding, cover the tank on one side so they've still got enough light and everything, but they can't see me moving around in the room. And my numbers started to get a little bit better after that.
Interesting. I've got 2 tanks of Aussies, one in the shop and one out the back. The ones in the shop basically don't hide all day, every day. They're out and about. Whereas the one out the back, go near them and they bolt away.
The ones in the shop probably used to it, and they can see people coming and going. They know what to expect because it's a little bit busier,
Yeah.
I mean, the tumbleweed could be blowing past all day down there.
Arguably, I spend way more time out the back than I do in the shop. But that's kind of what I was thinking at. A little more movement in front of them, right beside the counter, so people stand there and stuff like that for a bit of time.
Are the shop tanks sandwiched together? Oh, sorry, the back tanks sandwiched together, like dunk, 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 dunk.
That one's not. That's in a standalone rack.
Because I have found that fish that can see, like if they're sandwiched together, that you kind of just appear out of nowhere. Like you come, you just appear all of a sudden in front of the fish. They can't see you. They can't see the movement or anything coming.
Yes.
So all of a sudden there's nothing, and then there's just boom. All of a sudden you're in their face, and that's how they can freak out a little bit. And my shellies disappear when I walk into the fish room, but they come out very quickly afterwards. They're happy as was it. I think part of the routine is I come in, I give them a fright, and then I feed them. So they're like, okay, must be food time now, So they're happy as.
I've never considered that line of sight with just a small end-on-end stack of like 2 foot 2x1s. That makes sense, though.
Yeah, that's how it works, I guess. Frontosa also a very. I only really came to this conclusion because a friend of mine had issues with his Frontosa. And he was rearranging his entire fish room around his Frontosa tanks, being able to see people, approaching and coming through, because his Frontosa, like people were just appearing out of nowhere. His Frontosa were freaking out and smacking into the side of the tank and hurting themselves and stuff. One of them actually killed itself, smashing into the side of the tank, in an 8-foot tank, because they were big Frontosa. So, and that's what got me thinking about that too. Is like, because these fish are just chilling, minding their own business, and we're really not there for 80% of 90% of what they're doing.
Yeah, we'd like try and cricket the bird.
Yeah, so we do give them a fright.
Yeah, makes sense.
And food, what do we feed shellies? Just anything, eh? They eat anything. Wonder what they eat in the wild. It'd be insects and stuff in the wild, wouldn't it?
Microcrustaceans, kind of shit like that.
Plankton and stuff.
I find that they take a long time to get used to dry food or pellets. So whenever I've had them, always took probably twice as long as other fish to get onto the food that I was feeding. But then after that, you just throw anything in and they'd eat it.
That's the problem. Is also they're very small, so you've got to be careful not to overfeed them, especially if they're not eating. I've found them, they scavenge, but they're not the best scavengers at like going through the gravel and stuff. I have often ended up with a little bit of uneaten food in their tanks and stuff. So you've got to watch they actually eat.
Snails work really well with them for that reason, because they'll clean up any, a couple mystery snails in a tank. They'll clean up anything left over.
I actually put
which-
bristle noses in with my Aussies for that purpose, and they killed the bristle nose. So
Oh,
I've never seen any fish kill a bristle nose before, but they did. It was what I was like, man.
So I've got Synodontis in my group in the shop, and I think they're actually stressing the Aussies out. The amount that they're out and about is too much for them. It's way too much defending for them.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, because Synos, when they're happy, hyperactive little buggers, they're just swimming everywhere.
Yeah,
What
and they do that.
You got
every day.
Petricola in there, or your Maltese in there, or you don't really know?
After having the conversation with the dude the other week, I think they're Maltese.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Maltese get pretty big too.
Yeah.
Like 12, 15 centimeters big. So they're probably too big long term for there. They'll be all right for short term, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely long term they're too big. But I've got a plan, so that's okay. And we all know that my plans definitely come to fruition within about 4 or 5 years. So we're under control here.
Yeah, I am. Somehow I've ended up with way too many Maltese. Actually, I've got probably 20 or 30 adults sitting there somehow, and they're breeding. And I'm like, how did where did all these Maltese come from? I've got tanks and tanks of the blood things, so I need to actually move some on because they're stopping breeding in every tank I've got them in. All right. Anyway, we got any more on Shelley's? What are we going to say? What are we?
I'm done. Give or take.
Yeah. Put some shells in. Put some sand in. Put some fish in. Put some food in. Tank mates. What are we going to use for tank mates with them?
I tend to just say keep away from other bottom dwellers. Sort of give them that water column to themselves. What do you said you have Synodontis in with yours, Kim?
Yeah. I don't think that's a great mix. Especially now the numbers are more and the Cynos are getting way more. They're not getting aggressive, but they're just getting more outgoing and adventurous. I think it's causing the Shelleys to be a bit more stressed. So I'm going to make a decision to move them out soon. I think. As cool as they are for a display, because they're nice and active and people seeing them, I don't think it's right for the Shelleys. So one of them's got to go, and it's probably going to be the Cynos because I can rehouse them in the fronts easy enough.
Yeah, and the you can keep, obviously you've got to be careful what you're doing with them because you've got to make sure it's got something that can handle the parameters and stuff. But you can keep like a schooling fish with them. Helen keeps rainbows with hers. Again, a little bit frowned upon, but we always used to keep rainbows with Africans to bring them out, and it seemed to work. So yeah, you can keep other stuff with them to bring them out, but you've got to have a big enough tank for that and all that sort of stuff. White worms, yeah, they'd love white worms. They would smash micro worms. They love micro worms. They just sit there and dig all day, just picking up visible little critters in the water that you can't even see.
I almost think they're pretty good in a species only tank as opposed to a mixed tank of some description. They just seem, excuse me, as appear to go a little bit better by themselves, at least in my experience with them. Altos aren't a very good mix, as I'm sure we've all learnt before.
Well, I've got the Altos with the brevis and they don't seem to care. So
you're on right at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, the Altos are big, but not ginormous. You know how Altos can get to sort of 15, 17 centimeters. That'd probably be a little bit different. These are only sort of 10. The male's only 10 centimeters. So he's big, but not ginormous. But he seems to be tolerating them. He hasn't tried to eat them. The Altos haven't bred yet with them in there, which still don't think is going to cause any issues. They'll probably get more defensive, but I don't think they're going to harm them. And I've got them in with the Tropheus and the Julies. Cam always kept his with Julies, which seemed to work quite well in the shop. Probably
Julies go well with Bricardi. You can do Bricardi as well.
Bricardi aren't so aggressive for them.
No, as long as you get the numbers right and as you say, break that line of sight and have the territories.
Because Bricardis can be nasty buggers when breeding.
Yeah. I think species only you get the most out of them personality-wise.
Yeah. It also comes down to tank size as well. Like, you get a 6-foot tank, you can do a lot of stuff in there compared to a 3-foot tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. All right, cool. Well, just thinking of the Zen Ginger who signed it at the end of this and was probably thinking, like, who the hell is that guy? What is going on? You know, so I was just laughing on my head a little bit of that. All right, is there any more questions or are we done? We're good?
I think we're good.
Cool. All right, well, thanks for listening.
Then we'll just have to watch or listen to the beginning of the episode when we talked all about Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, so I shall go back and watch the beginning. All right, well, I'm actually a little bit disappointed. This was not a steaming pile of poo like I was hoping it was going to be. I was hoping it was going to be like comedy or tragedy gold, but it didn't end up being as good as I thought it was going to be. But anyway, it worked better than I thought it was going to, which is good and bad. Yeah, Helen keeps them with rainbows. Yeah, honestly, I've kept, when we first started keeping Africans, we used rainbows to bring all our altos and stuff out, because they were big enough and robust enough, and they were hardy enough to survive it. And they usually did really well. We zebra danos, pearl danios, giant danios, all that sort of stuff as well. These days it's a little bit frowned upon due to water parameters and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, that does seem to work. So take it or leave it. I guess with my tanks, I've discovered my pH is actually only in the high 7s, so it's not actually crazy African high. So I could probably get away with a lot. I haven't found Brevis to care too much either about water parameters. They're not that sensitive. The Fry even don't care about my water change system. So yeah, they're pretty easy going.
I think their range is quite wide. Like they can go from 7s up to the 9s. So they're very tolerable of changes.
They'll be tolerant of water temperature too, more than most tangs, I imagine, being in the shallow water fish, because the water there would get so hot and so cold would change a lot, I imagine. It would probably fluctuate.
Good point.
But anyway, we shall talk to you all again next week, and maybe we'll have a special reappearance of Cam at some stage. We'll see. It's the mystery of the 3, maybe 4 idiots.
It might just become idiots talking about aquariums.
Yeah. An undefined number of idiots talking about aquariums, and we just pull a host in as we lose them, kill them off.
Whoa, hang on.
Hey, at least we didn't make you pretend to be Cam and just pretend like we changed actors. That would have been even funnier, but I don't know if it would have worked.
Don't know how well I could pull it off.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right,
we'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day. I don't think anyone needs to go take a poo, so it's great.
3+ idiots. Go. Have a good afternoon or morning.
Thanks.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.